and welcome back to another video. My name is Catherine Germano. I'm a detoxification specialist, a mom, eh, just I'm whatever you need me to be. um, so today you're here to know what is the only diet that has ever worked for me, and what is the only diet that I would ever recommend. So I'm also going to give you this tangent with my health journey because we can't separate diet from health, right? Your diet is the foundation for the health of your body. It's not exercise. It's not, just where you live or your vibe, whatever. It's primarily diet. So I'm going to take you through the evolution of my health journey so that you can see the same conclusions that I've come to and why I so believe in this, and why I recommend it. So let me just tell you a little bit about my background. So as a kid, it's interesting because I think especially, I don't know, I don't know if it's a country thing or just in today's society, I think that we have normalized a lot of things that are actual serious issues, especially when it comes to health. So as a kid, I looked like a healthy kid. I've never dealt with weight issues. But that doesn't mean I was healthy, right? I remember I would have a stomach ache maybe after dinner or something, and I would go up in my room and I would put pressure on my stomach by leaning over my toy chest or my bed, and I would stay like that. And I remember doing that all the time actually as a kid, which is really strange to me now because now like I never get stomach aches, and when I do, it's like an issue that I address. So it's just, I don't know, it's interesting looking back with hindsight and being like, oh, none of these things were normal, but they were just normalized. Of course, like any other child, I got colds and flus every year. I dealt with, I would have these weird, like, I don't know, like my tonsils would swell up. And then at one point, my mom was looking and she was like, oh, there's something like white back there or something. So she took a Q-tip and this like solid mass came out of this sounds really gross, I'm sorry. But they're called tonsil lifts, and now I understand what they are, but as a family we didn't know what these things were. We didn't know what to do about it. And basically it's solidified mucus in your from your lymphatic system. It's like solidified lymph, that's calcified, and it creates almost like this little rock or something that's sitting in your tonsils. Yeah, like constipation, like severe chronic constipation. If you're not going to the bathroom every day, you're constipated. You know what I mean? And as a kid, I remember hearing, maybe I heard that, we heard about people going to the bathroom every day. And I remember I was with my friend, and this was in high school, and we looked at each other and we were like, ew, they go to the bathroom every day? Like, we thought it was like not normal, and even more so we thought that was like gross or weird, like there was a problem with you if you had a bowel movement every day. I remember maybe I'd go like twice a week. I can't even remember now because I really wasn't paying attention, but yeah, that is so not normal. um, but yeah, I actually have taken notes just because it's a lot when you think back on these things, so I just want to make sure I like cover it all. But yeah, I had very brittle nails that would never grow because they would just start to peel and like break at a certain point. I used to get cold sores. I would have those like probably like twice a year, like a severe outbreak. It really sucked. I had scoliosis after I had a classic growth spurt. I had scoliosis as a kid. I dealt with acne as a teenager, like every other teenager, right, is what we're told. And then when I got my period, and again, whatever. I don't want to have to say TMI because I just want you to get used to on my channel, like we just talk about all these things where, I treat you like an adult. So if you're a boy, whatever, and this is like TMI to you, I'm sorry. But yeah, when I did get my period, it was very irregular, and very painful. So much so that, I was having these episodes, and my mom took me to our GP, and she actually recommended birth control, which, oh, do not go on birth control to fix your, hormonal issues. That's just like the worst thing you could do, in my opinion. Um, so yeah, I ended up having to be on like the mini birth control for that, and it didn't make, you know, it didn't. I wasn't on it very long because my sister was on it first for the same issue, and she told me to get off it very wisely. Like, I thank my sister so much because when she was in college, she was 7 years ahead of me. She was like, you really don't want to be on this long term, and so I did get off relatively quickly. I was only maybe on it a couple years, so that's good. But yeah, so these are, sinus infections. I just general fatigue. Especially in college, I was always so tired. Um, I did a lot, but I just always felt tired. It was always hard for me to get out of bed as a kid and a teenager and an adult. Very hard for me to like wake up from my sleep. I hated that, and I just felt like, I don't know, you wake up in the morning and sometimes you're just like, oh, like slapping yourself. You need coffee, you need this. Like, if you need a ritual like that to wake yourself up in the morning, if you feel like you were hit by a bus, that's not normal. We've just normalized it, like, don't talk to me before I've had my coffee, shirts and mugs. It's like, that's not normal. You should be resting and then waking up feeling super refreshed. But I'll get into more of that in a minute. But yeah, so just a little picture of where I was. So I might have looked healthy from the outside just because I was a kid, I was skinny, whatever. I was a pretty good athlete in high school and stuff, but it doesn't mean I was healthy. And that's just kind of how it is for most people that, whatever, don't deal with serious issues. They're still dealing with something. So then I'll bring you into the evolution of, so that's where I was and to where I am now. So in my freshman year of college is when I went, I wanted to go vegan, but I went vegetarian. It was a hard adjustment for me. Because growing up, I had a lot of dairy. I loved meat. Oh my God, I loved meat. It was like my favorite. And like ice cream. And it's not like my family wasn't, we didn't have an unhealthy diet by, American standards. My mom was a great cook. She showed her love through food. So we always had like fresh cooked home meals. We always had a vegetable, on the plate. We always had fruit in the house. And she tried to be balanced, about things as far as like the food groups and all of that. So it's not like we were eating TV dinners and eating buckets of ice cream, but was there always ice cream in the house? Yes. Were there always chips in the house? Snacks? Yes. Was I eating lots of meat, lots of dairy, cheeses, grains, things like that? Yes. So she tried her best to have a healthy diet. And I will address this now. Especially if you're a mom, if you're feeling guilty because of maybe how you've fed your kids or whatever, like, and or how you grew up, people didn't have the internet just 20 years ago, right? So our parents did the best that they could with the information they had. We just have so much more now at our fingertips that, it seems like crazy that, I don't know, when you look back, with hindsight being 2020. So, but yeah, so just, if I'm talking about this and this is resonating with you and you're going like, oh, that's how I'm eating now, or that's what I'm feeding my child now, or, oh, why did my parents raise me like that? Like, just please be gentle on yourself, because we're just now having access to all of these personal anecdotes and all of these, this research coming out. So yeah, be gentle on yourself, especially when it comes to diet, because you don't want to make any hard turns and form any bad eating habits. That is especially prevalent when people, are trying to make a lot of changes. But yeah, that's a whole nother thing. We'll kind of get into that as we go. So the evolution of my dietary changes was I went vegetarian first. And in another video, I'm going to talk about why I wanted to go vegan. But there's just too much for that. Right now, I'm showing you the diet. So I went vegetarian. Did I experience any physical changes or benefits? Honestly, I don't think so. No. And maybe I was healthier from not eating meat. if you, I don't know, were to take a camera and look at my blood vessels or check my, I don't know. Maybe there were subtle health benefits, but I didn't feel so much better, I don't think. Um, it wasn't like I woke up and it was totally different. I will say when I tried eating meat again, because, anytime you make a change, you're going to fall off the wagon sometimes. When I would fall off and have some meat, it affected me. Like I, would have to go to the bathroom or I'd have a stomach ache. So I definitely know I was healthier for being vegetarian, but I didn't experience a vast improvement that really just like shook me. So then over the next few years, I was trying to go vegan and I was going more and more vegan. It was becoming easier and easier, especially emotionally. It's a big emotional adjustment. So when I was finally vegan, again, did I experience any physical changes that wowed me? Was I probably healthier? Probably, maybe. I don't know. But I didn't, again, have the drastic change that would make me go, wow, this is the diet. That's for me, I was kind of a junk food vegan. Like, I tried to be healthy, but it was a lot of, when you first go vegan, especially in today's world, there's so many, like, meat replacements, like Impossible Burgers, Beyond Meat Burgers, all that kind of stuff. I was having that kind of thing in my diet, so I don't know, just like your typical vegan. I wasn't like, trying to be really healthy about it. I just was trying to go vegan. And yeah, so then there was one summer, maybe a year or two into being vegan, that I found out about raw foods, and I read the book the 80-10-10 Diet by Dr. Douglas Graham. And I started just getting into the raw food movement, and there's a lot of people in that community with a lot of great information. And I was listening to their stories, and things were just like pop, 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 clicking into place. And on a side note, just know I never wanted to go vegan right off the bat. Like, I never meant for any of these things to happen. I remember when I first even heard what a vegan was, I was like, ugh, that's crazy. These people are crazy. Oh, you don't want to eat the egg because it came out of a chicken. Like, I just was like, okay, they're taking the animal rights thing a little too far, and I just thought it was crazy. And of course, then I actually opened my mind to it and was blown away by the logic and the the ethos, the pathos, and the logos. Like, I loved everything about it, and it clicked. And even though I didn't want to, I feel like I had to. So yeah, just a little preface. You don't have to be like wanting to make these changes to realize that they're the best changes for you and to eventually make them. So yeah, I found out about raw foods, and there was like one summer in particular in college. I don't know what year it was, but I could find out. But I read that book, and it just, everything clicked into place in my head. It made so much sense, why we should be eating raw foods. And I'm going to, again, do another video on that because it's so powerful. It needs to be shared. But yeah, and there's so many reasons, right, that why it makes sense, why it works. So the 80-10-10 diet is a raw food diet. It's a whole food, raw food diet that is predominantly fruits. It's mostly fruits. And then, you can have some vegetables or whatever. But yeah, it's like going fruitarian. And it sounds crazy, but this is the only diet that has ever worked for me that I would recommend 100%. And yeah, I'm going to get into a lot more of that. But let me tell you the physical changes that I had. So in just one summer, right, so like 2 or 3 months, I was working a couple jobs at the time. I was going to college, and I made these changes, and I did not go 100% fruitarian. I went, because I just couldn't manage it emotionally. Making these changes is kind of difficult. So I went probably like 80% raw, as in I was like raw all day, breakfast and lunch, were lots of like fresh fruits and juices and smoothies and things like that. And then maybe for dinner, I'd have like a cooked vegan meal, but it was still vegan. So maybe I'd have like potatoes and veggies, or I'd have rice and this and that, or I'd have bread, something like that along those lines. So the changes that I had were drastic. The first thing I'll tell you about is that I went through a detox period. And if you don't know what that is, you have to know what that is, entering into this diet because it is so important. So a detox period, and I'm going to do a separate video on this, and eventually I'll link it after this video because it's that important. But a detox is when you make good changes for your body, the correct changes, and your body has a chance to basically take out the trash. So what it will look like is it will look like, and it can be called a healing crisis as well, because all of a sudden it looks like you're getting sicker. All these things are happening and you're like, what's going on? I thought this diet was supposed to heal me. Why is, this happening? Why am I getting cold and flu-like symptoms? Why am I tired? Why, it could manifest in so many different ways. So that's why I'm going to do a separate video, but sometimes it can get worse before it gets better, and it's called the detox period. So I did have a major detox for the first time in my life, so I really had to look into that. And I had like 3 bouts of what I would call a sinus infection at the time. I used to, say I'd get a sinus infection like twice a year. I got like 3 rounds of it, like back to back to back. So it was just mucus, cold and flu-like symptoms, mucus being purged, especially from my head. And I also got, it's funny, the number 3, I got 3 cold sores back to back to back. Now that's never happened in my life, and it sucked. It was painful, embarrassing, and just emotionally draining. Because normally you get a cold sore and it's two full weeks to like start to finish if you don't interrupt it at the first stage with like an antiviral. It takes 2 weeks to heal. So this was like 2, 4, 6. This was like 6 weeks of dealing with this. Like it sucked. But I knew what it was, and so it kept me going forward. So yeah, my detox was like, I got a viral outbreak, cold and flu-like symptoms just over and over and over again. I dealt with mood swings from the emotional transition, and also like you're kind of getting off stimulants in a way. So I had like mood swings tied to food, and headaches, like because I wasn't 100%. So when I would have something like, say, I was raw all day and then I had a very salty meal at the end of the day, I'd get a headache from that. Like I could definitely tell the effect of certain foods on me. And I also remember I was telling you disgustingly the tonsil issue that I had. All of a sudden, like in my detox period, like all of these white pieces were coming out of my tonsils. They were clearing themselves out, which was super cool, super gross, but super cool to see that they were leaving my body on their own. Like I didn't have to do anything. Like my body just purged, because that's what the detox is. It's a purge. So pretty cool. So now let me tell you, so you have your detox period. What were the benefits of this diet? The benefits, to put it bluntly, is you feel like a freaking superhero. You wake up and you just want to jump out of bed. Like for the first time in my life, I had energy. Like, and this is why you'll hear these like woo-woo, phrases being thrown around, like high vibrational. It's super high vibrational, brah. But like, it's true. Like you're just like you're buzzing around. I remember I was highly eating a raw foods diet when I was a waitress, and we would pull long shifts of hard work, and I was working with all of these girls, and I remember at the end of the night we were all like dragging our butts up to do our paperwork, and I remember when I was really, really raw, I would be like running, sprinting past everybody, like woo, like I just had boundless energy, which was so cool for me, because I remember walking the dog in the morning before, even when I was just vegan, and I would get like fatigued. Like I passed out a few times in my high school and college years, and I know my sister passed out a couple times too, so we have similar body types. And yeah, like I mean, that's why my one eyebrow is kind of messed up, because I was doing yoga and sun salutations. It's a lot of up and down. And yeah, my husband was there. I just crumpled to the floor from it. So I dealt with a lot of fatigue and kind of issues like that. So I had boundless energy. I lost my baby fat. I wasn't doing this diet to lose weight. I didn't actually want to lose weight. But it was interesting. It was like I could just tell the way my clothes fit or whatever. Like I lost baby fat. And what's interesting about this is you could say, oh, you weren't eating enough, clearly. But like, I got to a certain point and then I didn't continue to lose. And then I also couldn't gain. It was weird. It was like, no matter, like, once I went and made that transition to high raw, when I would eat more than normal, I wouldn't gain weight. And then when I would eat less than normal, some days you're busy. I was doing a lot in those years. I was running around, driving here to work, driving there to college, like back and forth. Sometimes I'd forget to eat as much and I wouldn't continue to lose weight. So I call it now your authentic weight, the weight that you were designed to carry, for your skeletal system, for your musculature, like what weight suits you and your health the best. And I just feel like I found that. It was really interesting. I lost any bad breath and I noticed the more raw I was, the less bad breath. And then I really began to understand that it was grains putting plaque on my teeth. And yeah, so it was really interesting. Like, I'd wake up and it was funny. My husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, we lived together and we would wake up, and when we were both really raw, we were like, oh my God, I feel like we're in a romantic comedy because we could just totally make out right now and it wouldn't be gross. Like, we don't need to brush our teeth in the morning. Like, it's amazing. Like, that's what I mean. You just feel superhuman. You also wake up and you don't have the swelling, the tired, puffy eyes. Like, I lost the gray circles under my eyes. You don't get as much sleep out of your eyes. Like, you just, I don't know, you look much better on this diet. Like, I just noticed I had clear skin and I didn't need foundation or makeup. I didn't have to cover anything up at the time. Like, I just had a vibrancy to my skin and my eyes. My teeth got whiter because I wasn't having plaque come out in my lymph system. So from all the cooked food and the grains, because they basically kind of turn to glue in your system, which is an issue. So all of a sudden, like, no bad breath and no need to really brush my teeth. I was still brushing my teeth, but you could do it with water. I mean, I brush my teeth with like essential oils or water now. But yeah, like really white teeth. And my nails started to grow. They started to grow annoyingly fast. And they're hard, but like flexible. Like, they're just like perfect nails. It was interesting. I was like, oh my God, for the first time in my life, like, I can have nice nails. And after that initial detox period, I never got a cold sore again. Like, ever. I went years not getting cold sores. Also, not getting sick. I stopped getting colds and flus. Just period. There was like 5 years that I went where I never got sick. And I'll tell you why I eventually started to go down again. But yeah, I never got sick. I never got cold sores. I never got acne. I had clear focus, like clear thinking. Like, I don't know. It's just your brain is powered correctly. So you can just think really well. I had better sleep. I woke up feeling more rested. And my periods evened themselves out. So not only did they become pain-free, because I had really, really painful period. Like, I had to go to the hospital. I would pass out. I would throw up. I would have diarrhea. Like, all of these serious issues with the first day of my period. So not only did it become pain-free, like entirely pain-free, which was amazing, but it also shortened my span. So I went from 7 full days of hell to about 3 of like a light period. Like, it was so nice. It was regular and pain-free, which is really cool. I noticed when I would sweat, because I stopped using like an antiperspirant, not deodorant, but an antiperspirant that clogs your ducts and stops you from sweating. I stopped using that like long ago, probably when I went vegan. So yeah, you put on deodorant, but you can still smell, like, I don't know if it's wearing off or whatever. But on a raw food diet, like, you can sweat and it doesn't reek. Like, it might smell like, I don't know, kind of like neutral, I guess, but it doesn't smell bad. And that brings me into my next thing. So regular, healthy bowel movements. So you'd have a bowel movement at least once or twice a day. And what's crazy is they wouldn't stink. Like, it was like that phrase, like, my shit don't stink. It was like true. And also, if you're not eating the oils and so heavy on the fat, if you're eating mostly raw fruits and vegetables, you don't need toilet paper. Like, it's crazy. Like, you just go and it's perfect and you move on and you don't have any issues, no constipation. And I don't know, it just, you feel like so perfect about it. And then you feel like totally empty afterwards. It's just, you have beautiful digestion on this diet. I also had my scoliosis start to correct, less back pain. I also do yoga though, so, that helps as well. And the biggest thing is I got what I like to call like an accurate relationship with my body. And what I mean by this is, I'm going to give a crazy example. If you're addicted to crack cocaine, you can't trust your body's signals because it's going to signal, I need more crack, right? Anytime you have an addiction, it's kind of interrupting your body's natural rhythm to things. So you can't trust the signals and the feedback you're getting. But when you remove all of these addictions and you just give... Hold on, I have to check on my daughter really fast. Hold on. Okay, she's good. So I got an accurate relationship with my body. So when you remove all of those addictions and you just give your body a chance to recalibrate and like find its rhythm, then you have an accurate feedback like relationship with your body. So for example, before I was probably like consuming way too much salt and just way too many acidic foods and all of these things that I was really addicted to. So now it's like you come back to factory settings. That's the best way to explain it. This diet puts your body back to factory settings, and then when you do have something, you can accurately tell how it affects you. So what I noticed is when I was raw, I was like, wow, I feel really good. And then I'd see something and be like, I kind of want that, and I realized how these cooked foods or how these other foods were making me feel. If I had something too salty, boom, headache. If I had something too high in protein and fat and like really heavy foods, boom, I would feel really heavy. When I went back and tried meat again, because I did, it made me feel horrible. And that brings me to my highest benefit on this diet. And it is that it completely nixed my anxiety and depression. So maybe since middle school, that was something that I've dealt with. Just, and it goes along with feeling tired. Is it bodily tired or is it that you're depressed? That's a major thing when you're dealing with depression, is like, is it my body? Is it just my mind, my emotions? Well, what I noticed is on this diet, like, I don't know, I just didn't have the anxiety thoughts. I didn't have the depressed feelings. Like I just, and it didn't mean that my life was perfect. It was like being put in a bubble that kept me calm and clear and like focused on the right things. Like I could really choose my thoughts on this diet, where if I started having cooked food again, it was like I didn't have control. It would just go to negative town. My thoughts would go negative. My anxiety would creep back in, and that feeling of depression would just overcome me, and I'd sink into it again. So what I really noticed was anytime I've experimented, I just learned the same lesson over and over again. And that brings me into my next phase of this evolution of my diet, which was what I like to call the experiment phase, because I was like going raw, really loving it, loving my life, loving the changes my body was going through. And then life kicked in. We moved back in with family for probably like 4 years. I forget now. But and it's not my family's fault. It was just my husband and I, we have an association like with other people and socializing, like everyone does. Like when you're at your family's house, when you have visitors over, like all of a sudden you want to cook a big breakfast in the morning when you all wake up together, and you want to do this and you want to eat out. So we moved in with family and we were kind of like out of our little bubble. And it was very hard to be raw in the company of others. And we love food. And so we started eating a lot of cooked food, and we just kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker. All of a sudden I was getting acne again. All of a sudden I was feeling tired again. I started getting cold and flu like symptoms again. Like I would get a cold, and it's funny because I have this understanding now, so I could kind of stop it and mitigate it. Like I'd start feeling myself getting a cold, and then I would just go raw and it would stop it. But that's not a healthy way to live, where you're like on the edge of health and unhealth, and you're just kind of playing with fire. So I got my first like cold sore in a long time because I was on cooked food. So basically, like, yeah, in my experimentation, I tried all those foods again. I tried meat, I tried dairy, even here and there, and that really affected me. But I tried grains, and I just kept learning the same thing, which is these are not good for you. Like you're gonna do your best on raw foods. So yeah, and that's the only thing that works for my anxiety and depression. Like it's just non-existent when I'm healthy and raw. So that brings me to where I am now. So yeah, so we're of course living on our own now. But it's still hard breaking habits. The emotional eating is something it's pretty difficult to transition, away from, because cooked food is very addicting. It's like comfort, you know. So where I am now is I'm mostly raw, and I'm trying to go 100%, because it's like there's a spectrum, and it's like as your body cleanses and detoxifies, you get more and more sensitive. So now at this point in my life, I am so sensitive to the vibration of other foods that really I don't even see as food anymore. Because and I'll get into this when I get into why the raw food diet makes sense. But like some foods aren't meant to be food. Like if wheat, for example, like you have to do so much to that plant to make it edible. You have to fully break it down. You have to like grind it, blah, 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 cook it. Meat, for example. Do you think I could chase down a bunny rabbit and eat it whole like a lion would? No, or a wolf. I don't think lions and bunnies are in the same place. But anyways, you get the picture. So these foods, they don't bring me any happiness. So it's been a lot of emotional work of like, because you think, oh, I did this today, so I'm going to treat myself. Well, you think of a treat as like cheating food, like a big fat juicy Beyond Meat burger or something with fake vegan crap cheese on it. But that's not a treat for your body. It's not a treat for your health. And it really makes me like uh, I'm so sensitive to the emotional vibration. So like when I have bad food, like I just immediately feel it, and it will all of a sudden, like, my anxiety and depression just knock back on the door. I'm dealing with them again. So yeah, so this is the diet that works for me. And yeah, I'm gonna totally teach you everything I know, because I want the world to be healthy. Like, especially even just look at the antiviral effects. Like, if there's anything these past 2 years have taught us, it's that we need to take care of our health. And if you're healthy, you can bounce back from the big bad thing out there. So yeah, so I'm going to talk a lot about this. I want you to stay tuned and learn all you can about it. If it sounds crazy to you, just trust me, I get it. It sounded crazy to me too. Like, you might think I'm nuts, but I want to guide people to their highest health and healing, and that's why I became a detoxification specialist. That's why this is my passion. So yeah, I'm here to share it with you. I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you for tuning in to me and my trusty sidekick, who I will show you because she's so cute. Yeah, that's Lucy. Hi, Coos. Want to say hi? No, not so much. Okay. Well, thank you. Bye. See you next time.